Ah, good morning. Are you ready for a productive day at work? I know, I know. Sometimes even I think I can sound a little too much like a boss. How are you doing this morning? Wonderful. I'm so glad you decided to join me in the morning shift. I know it's a bit I know it's a bit early this hour, but honestly, I like this shift. Oh, it's quiet. The cafe is calm, and there's nothing but possibility. Oh, indeed, possibility. Who knows what the day'll bring? You'll forgive me, but when you're a creature like me, as long-lived as I am, you tend to try to find the possibility in each day. It's the only way to keep them from blending. Oh, they do indeed blend. Unfortunately, some days just feel similar. And that's okay, but it can become a problem. Some of my race tend to suffer through pretty aggressive bouts of what we've come to call Doldrum Depression. Oh, yes. You see, after a while, when things become so similar and nothing surprises you, it can lead to feelings of malaise and, general apathy. They're not good for the mind. Oh, it's very simple. When I have moments like that, I do anything I can to switch up my routine. Sometimes it's taking the morning shift. Other times, I'll go away for a month and just live somewhere else. Experience life in a different form. No, unfortunately, I do not mean shape-shifting. I was not gifted with the magical prowess of some of my kin. No, I simply mean maybe I'll head up north and live among the denizens of Sheerpeak. Or maybe I'll leave Frosthaven altogether, go home, see my family. Anything is possible. Oh, yes. Most of my family is still back in the Elven lands. My sister, my mother, my father, they're all still there. Oh, I speak to them all the time. We're not cut off from the elves. I just, personally, chose to live apart from them. I wanted to see what life was like outside of the Elven lands. That's what brought me to Frosthaven in the first place. Oh, yes. My parents, well, my whole family was none too thrilled about it at first, but they saw that I needed to do this. They were very supportive. Not thrilled, but supportive. Oh, yes. I still talk to them on a weekly basis. Admittedly, my mother was not a fan of getting a telephone in their home, but now she carries a smartphone like the rest of us. And while she'll never admit it, she's a sucker for those matching games. But remember, I didn't tell you that if you ever meet her. How long ago did I come here? Oh, at this point, it has to have been 150 years? Maybe more? Again, I'm very long-lived, so honestly, it's hard for me to keep track sometimes. Well, it is the fun of having long-lived friends. Most of us can share stories from hundreds of years ago. But yes, I've been here for quite a while. The café? Oh, in some iteration or another, the Leaf and Bean has been here, I'm going to say about 90 years now. 98, if I'm correct. Well, I would have to check the original deed of purchase for when I bought the building, but yes, I believe 98 years. Oh, well, of course not. I haven't always called it the Leaf and Bean. Originally, this was called the Elven Way Station. But I thought that was a little too on the nose. So, when it came time to rebrand, the Frosthaven Café. And a few more iterations later, and, the Leaf and Bean. Well, of course I've been changing the name. The name, the decorations. I tried to keep this place as fresh as possible. There is some reinvestment that has to be done from time to time in order to keep the business fresh and vibrant and making sure people want to come in. I want this to be a haven for all creatures, but if they don't want to come in because the place is stale, then it's basically just a haven for the dust. This is very true. I've been very blessed. When I first moved here, I had a friend with considerable resources. He helped me get set up. He's got a very prosperous club down in Frost City. Perhaps you've heard of the place, the Wanderers Club? He's very successful. Oh yes, his patrons are the most exclusive clientele. It's a wonderful place. You should visit sometime. Just tell them Treyvalion sent you, they'll let you right in the door. Oh, after my first 50 years, I paid him back. This place is mine, free and clear. What was here before? Oh, I think it was just a general store of some sort. The kind of place you would get sundries and, the basics of everyday life. Well, yes. Frosthaven has been around so long, I mean, this place has been a stop for every major creature and human alike for quite a long time. Well, I do believe the original charter for Frosthaven was maybe 600 or 700 years ago. Oh, yes. This place has stood for centuries. And for centuries, it's been a haven. That's where it gets its name. Wait, are you telling me you don't know the history of Frosthaven? Oh, well, that simply will not do. Hundreds of years ago, settlers from some of the more prevalent creature races were looking for a safe place, somewhere that they could call their own, and that, at the time, they wouldn't be hunted. They arrived in the Sheer Peak region. They were able to hide in the mountains, build a life, establish themselves. Oh, yes, the first major races that were here: werewolves, vampires, and of course, my kind. Oh, we're a very old race. Elves were one of the first races on the planet. Well, you have to remember, we've been walking this planet just as long as your kind has. But we did flee from other lands to come here. Truth be told, Frosthaven has existed long before this country was even founded. Well, it wasn't until those explorers, what were they? Lewis and someone. They found the denizens of Frosthaven in their fourth or fifth generation at that point. Except, of course, for my people and some of the vampires. Oh yes, by that point Frosthaven was well established. Here we had been living in peace with the locals. They had been here before us, and it was only right that we live in peace with them. Unfortunately, the rest of the world did not see that. Ah, you're right. That's a story for another day. You were asking about the founding of Frosthaven. Well, once the country was aware of our existence, it did pose a problem. Once again, we were worried that we might be hunted. But this time we were established. We started to build our walls. We started to retreat behind them to protect ourselves. Oh, they did. They did try to attack us. But after a massive civil war, they did not have nearly the resources they needed. Oh, very simply, they backed off. They decided it wasn't worth their time. A few years later, they came with an arrangement. Yes, an arrangement. If we would let them pass and travel through Frosthaven, they would let us keep our autonomy. We were under a purview, but we run things here. They have no say, and it's worked out so far. Yes, unfortunately, from time to time we do have to deal with interlopers, like hunters, but for the most part, life here is safe. You don't need to worry. Well, like I said, this place especially is a haven. No one does violence here. It was one of the first things I saw to when I bought the building. I had my sister, who does possess the gifts of magic. She put a peace ward on this entire building. No violence can be done here. Oh, she is very talented. I hope one day you get to meet her. She travels out from time to time. I would like for you to meet my family as well. They're wonderful people, and I do miss them. Well, yes, that is the basic history of Frosthaven, in a very condensed version. That's actually how it got its name. Well, at the time, Sheer Peak was very snow-covered, and the original settlers here wanted it to be a haven for all creatures. Snowhaven didn't have quite the same ring to it, so Frosthaven. Indeed, a wonderful story for a wonderful place. I do hope you take as much advantage of it as you can. Yes, my friends come in here often. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. I still feel very badly for Chester. He seemed so distraught after his sister arrived. I should send him some coffee. On the house delivery. Because it would be the right thing to do. He's a good young man. He wants to make people smile and laugh and forget their troubles. The fact that his family doesn't see that is just... well, it's heartbreaking. But, again, sad topics to dwell on for a later date. Are you ready for the morning shift? Excellent. Then let's get the music on and get the day started, shall we?